And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. By now, you know AI is evolving and a part of our everyday world now. And there are a lot of questions about if it will take everyone's job. Our next guest has more details about those concerns. And joining us on The Factor Uncensored tonight, we have with us political analyst Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld. Dr. von Biedenfeld, the American economy was built on the job market and working. We all work here in this country. But what does the future hold for many of us? On one end, we have Wall Street and the economy telling us one thing. And then on the other thing, we're scared to death of AI and the future of our jobs. Which direction should we be looking at when it comes to our futures and sustaining our lifestyles?
Oh, that's such a challenging question, but very valuable for the next generation in particular as they assess their careers. We remember back in the day, petroleum engineering was one that people said, if you graduate with petroleum engineering, you're going to have a six-figure job for life. And of course, as soon as all those folks graduated 2004, 2006, the market bottomed out. We talked about real estate, and now commercial real estate is struggling. So every time somebody picks a profession, we're going to be cliched and say, try to find what you love and the money will follow, because that really does seem to be true. Each of these professions, including coding, which was one of the quintessential professions of the 21st century, now many of these young graduates are finding quite a bit of struggle trying to find regular employment that's not contract, where not gig work, or where they don't have to supplement it with being a barista or an Uber driver. So,
and really quick before you move on, because a lot of people suggested coding. I mean, it was crazy out there. And now you're telling us people are having a job sustaining as a result of going into coding.
Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. So at the end of the day, a lot of these philosophy majors are going to be proven correct if you're in the right timeline to be shown how critical thinking distinguishes them from individuals who can plug things in, where these large language models, these LLMs, are really dominating the market, particularly with ChatGPT, Perplexity, and other AI models. So at the end of the day, critical thinking is going to be the one way that we are able to distinguish ourselves from AI. And of course, politicians, because they vote themselves pay raises and vote themselves accountability and vote themselves emergency essential status whenever we have a government shutdown. So
there you go.
Politics is really the only safe job in the U.S. But we know that unemployment rates are up. We've seen how some of these market indicators for men have been less positive than for women. And so some of the changes that the current administration is implementing with regard to manufacturing and vocational careers are actually serving many of these individuals, a lot of these young men who may not have been college ready, may not have had the maturity, attention span, or so forth to really progress or matriculate in higher education. Now they're able to get associate's degrees and other technology and hard skilled jobs where AI simply cannot change the oil on a car, cannot reprogram your phone, and other sort of hard skill sets or physical skill sets that distinguish them from others. So those are the ways of the future. But keep in mind, these stats are very unreliable. We're not just talking about political things like the BLS directors firing. We're also talking about the reality that even during COVID, individuals in places like Hawaii, where people often supplemented their lives on 2 to 3 jobs, losing one of them didn't move them into the classification of unemployment in the same way that it might have in Texas, Idaho, or Ohio, because they still had jobs. They were still gainfully employed. But those 2 jobs weren't enough to supplement cost of living in the way that 3 were.
Don't go anywhere. We'll continue talking about this important topic after the break. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. AI is here. We all know it, and it could have a major impact on the job market and our jobs out there. Let's get back to our expert to tell us how we can prepare. Now, what we've just heard from you about future generations, people who may be in school now, what about those who are currently in the job market? Do you see any significant changes for our crew out there?
Unfortunately, we're seeing flattening in managerial positions. If you're between 35 and 45 and you are not finding success, applying 20, 30 times in a week for new jobs, you may need to reskill. You may need to look at certifications. Of course, colleges, community colleges, and even certain certificate programs and accrediting agencies for certain groups, whether it be for lawyers, engineers, et cetera, can help you upskill to create that. But really, there's a flattening, because the reality is, even though the EEOC, which is a little bit defanged under the current administration anyway, has typically looked at things such as age, sex, and other sort of identifying classifications. The reality is employers can find other ways to exclude prospective candidates for jobs without identifying these prohibited factors. So they may not say so, but if you're 40 and they don't see upward progression, they have a 35-year-old applicant, there is a danger that they're going to pick them. If you're a woman of childbearing years, we still see discrimination lawsuits where employers have picked a woman who is past that prospective idea, even though my mother had me at 41, right? So that's not a guaranteed formula to say, oh, she's 30, she's safe in the employment aspect of employment discrimination. So we still see these things recurring, but we also don't have a functional EEOC or other federal departments to pursue these discriminatory claims in a way. And so at the end of the day, the only real, I think, progressive pathway to find employment if you've been denied for multiple months is to reskill and upskill.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that advice. And before we wrap up with you, we've heard a lot of young people told, and you've brought it up quite a bit here tonight on The Factor, that maybe college may be not the route for you. Maybe trade school, maybe junior college, a 2-year degree. What are your thoughts about that for young people who say, I'm just going to waste my parents' time 4 years at a university?
The unfortunate thing is we're of course reaffirming some of the ideas that don't guarantee returns on investment. And so I have to say, a lot of those contacts that you get in fraternities, a lot of those contacts you get in the business or the law fraternity that you're in college, those things actually help you more than just a solid resume. Because I promise you, there are a number of people who were second in their class at a second-tier school or a state school that are doing better in their profession than the Ivy Leaguer who was last in their class or who had no social contacts to build on that resume. So at the end of the day, it really is about who you know, and you want to make sure you're building those interpersonal contacts, because AI is going to exclude your resume no matter what.
That damn AI. All right, Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld, all our lives we had to fight. And now who knew AI would be a battle? Always good to see you here on The Factor Uncensored, and we appreciate your time, sir, with the great advice for young people and people our age right now dealing with the job market and uncertainty that may be out there, because we definitely need some pointers from you.